And you went to school at Kenyon College. Now, coming out of school, your first job was at HarperCollins. Mm-hmm. How, in that transition, how did you establish yourself as a writer?
At Kenyon, you have to do a senior thesis, and I was really interested in modern literature, and so I studied Virginia Woolf, and I wrote my thesis on two of her novels, To the Lighthouse, Mrs. Dalloway, and A Room of One's Own, which is basically the whole idea that a woman needs a room of one's own, a room of her own, in order to establish a career. Yes. and have a writer's life. And that was sort of, I mean, I have one of my best friends in San Francisco. Every time I publish an article that sort of, has a kind of like feminist or female bent, she's always like, you just keep recycling your thesis, which is sort of true in a way. So I kind of went from feeling very passionate about, I had a couple professors who really, gave me a lot of, prop me up as a writer and as somebody who was good at thinking critically about literature. And so I went and I worked in book publishing, and I found myself, to be quite a good editor, and I liked editing, but I also really liked being out in the field, and I loved reporting. Yes. I spent a semester in college living in Nepal, and we had to do a special project, and I found myself living on an ashram with a holy man, doing an investigative piece about whether he was like the Jimmy Swaggart of Nepal. and I just loved being in the field, and I loved like uncovering information and digging, and so
was he the Jimmy Swaggart of Nepal?
He was kind of a huckster, yeah.
Okay.
But so after that experience and going back, I sort of knew that I didn't want to go the academia PhD route because I didn't want to teach. And so I thought, so when I was working at HarperCollins, I also realized that I didn't want to kind of climb the corporate editorial ladder, that I really actually wanted to write and be a journalist.